A new report demonstrating that the rich continue to reap the financial benefits of our economy, while middle-class workers in this country are being pressured to work for less. This study, comes as Katie Pilgrim now reports, on the same day as one of the largest retailers is firing tens of thousands of workers and then offering to hire them back for lower wages.
New data shows that the top 1% of Americans are now 400 times richer than average Americans.
We have not seen these kinds of gaps since before the Great Depression. We have now had 2 years in a row in which we had huge income gains at the top and people in the middle and below did not share.
He says the rich disproportionately benefit from the Bush administration tax cuts. The American worker has been downsized, outsourced, laid off, and now companies are replacing experienced workers with cheaper ones. The second largest electronics retailer in the country, Circuit City, is firing 3,400 of its best paid workers. In an outrageous offer, the company says it will give these workers the opportunity to reapply for those same jobs at lower pay.
Having worked for a number of years for the company and moved their way up and developed their skills to be better salespeople is then rewarded by, in this case, oh, so you have to actually, get laid off.
Watchdog groups say big corporate chains like Walmart make an effort to squeeze out older, long-term workers who cost the company more in wages and health care.
For the better part of the past 2 years, we have seen Walmart engage in policies to try to get rid of workers who have stayed too long with the company. The only difference between Circuit City's decision today and Walmart is that Walmart has been underhanded about it.
All this is especially outrageous at a time when the CEOs of Walmart and Circuit City are compensated in millions of dollars. Labor experts say this squeeze on the middle class has a nasty edge now. For example, at Circuit City, workers can have the privilege of their old job back at a lower wage. They have to wait 10 weeks to apply, and the retailer can fill the job during that time. So on top of less money, there are no guarantees that the job will still be there, Lou.
Katie, thank you very much. Katie Pilgrim. The parent company of retailer TJ Maxx now says information from almost 46 million credit cards was stolen by hackers. The theft, all disclosed first by the company in January. But a recent filing with the Security Exchange Commission shows just how large the security breach actually was and how long it continued. The company now says its computer systems were repeatedly breached over an 18-month period, that ending in January, and the company says the identity of the hackers remains unknown. It may come as no surprise to you that the vast majority of Americans are dissatisfied with the operation of the federal government these days. The middle class says both political parties need to do more for working men and women, middle-class America. As Bill Schneider now reports, the Democratic candidates for president say they've begun to listen.
Frustrated. That's how most Americans say they feel about government in the latest Pew Research Center poll. The poll finds that the public wants government to do more to help the middle class, like a higher minimum wage, affirmative action programs, having the government take care of people who can't take care of themselves, and a government guarantee of health insurance for all, even if it means raising taxes. Democratic candidates for president are responding to the demand for more government responsibility in meeting the needs of the middle class.
It's been the creation of a massive middle class through decent wages and benefits in public schools that have allowed all of us to prosper.
But while Americans want government to do more, they trust government less. Poll takers have been asking the question, how much of the time do you think you can trust the government in Washington to do what is right, for almost 50 years? The number of Americans who said they trust the government peaked back in 1958. It started to go down in the 1960s. By the malaise crisis of the late 1970s, trust in government reached an all-time low, 29%. It went up a bit during the 80s and 90s when the economy was good. The latest figure, only 31% of Americans say they trust the government, about as low as it was during the 1970s. Republican candidates make their pitch to the frustrated middle class by targeting taxes. Why pay more taxes to a government you don't trust?
I'll fight to stop the tax hike, and I'll fight for a new savings plan for middle-class Americans as well.
The two trends are colliding. Americans want government to do more and more to help the middle class, but they trust government less and less. So the result is mounting frustration.
Well, mounting frustration, and empirically, is there any reason for middle-class America in particular not to be frustrated with this government? And I'm not talking politically or in terms of partisan views or allegiances. Just the administration and the operation of this federal government, department by department.
Yes, well, that frustration has been mounting for years, as we saw in that trend. It's never been as high as it was in 1958. That's when it peaked, and it's collapsed.
And it's interesting, 1958, the year, of course, of Sputnik, that period also producing the Gary Powers incident with the U-2 over the Soviet Union, and the first time in my memory and certain evidence that a president lied to the American people. And it's an interesting date.
And everything has been unraveling in the federal government since then.
Well, it's time for a course correction, as they say, and hopefully we have begun that process. Thank you very much, Bill Snyder. Up next.